Hi students, this week we are going to be learning about the different spheres on Earth. And be sure to open up your guided notes and fill them out as you go through the lesson. They're going to be really important when you guys have your quizzes or when you go to take your module exam, because the guided notes is how the other science teachers and I make your study guide. So when we look at the spheres of the Earth, sometimes people will say that it's part of the Earth system. And a system just means that something has many parts that work together to create a whole. If you guys were in the brick and mortar school, first quarter, you would have learned about engineering practices and you would have learned about different types of systems. So here you're learning about it still in the virtual school, so you guys will be able to take that knowledge back to brick and mortar with you whenever you go. So we have 5 different spheres that work together in order to make up the Earth system. The first one that we're going to look at is the atmosphere, and it is the outermost layer of Earth, and it contains a mixture of gases, dust particles, clouds, and water vapor, and it's responsible for the weather. We also have the biosphere, and the biosphere contains all living organisms. So this can be plants, animals, humans, and then anything that lives in the water, so any marine life. We also have the geosphere, and the geosphere is what we were focusing on kind of the first few lessons when we're looking at landforms, weathering, erosion, and deposition. And it describes all of the solid rock, minerals, and ground found on Earth. Next, we have the hydrosphere, and it's all of the water on Earth. Now, your textbook takes the hydrosphere and tells us a sphere that's within the hydrosphere. Sometimes you'll only hear about the 4 spheres of Earth, but your textbook makes it into 5. And this 5th one is called the cryosphere. And all it is the frozen part of the hydrosphere. So think about those glaciers from last lesson. So these may be difficult for you to remember, but if you guys know a little bit about prefixes, it could be helpful. So when we're looking at the biosphere, when you guys get to high school, you'll take biology in 9th grade. Maybe you even have an older sibling that takes it, and that's studying living organisms. If you guys have seen the prefix geo before, it means land. So when you go to study geography, you're looking at different landforms, maybe you're looking at maps. Also, I know some of my students really like Pokemon. So if you guys think of a Geodude, it's a rock Pokemon. Geosphere has rock. So if you guys look at this, the hydrosphere, either think of, well, hydro means water, and you can either think about hydro flasks or a fire hydrant. Or if, again, with the Pokemon, if you guys think about water Pokemon, sometimes they have hydro moves. So because Earth is a system, all of the spheres interact with each other in order to make life run smoothly on Earth. So the atmosphere is the Earth's weather center. So that means that it can relate with the biosphere by making it hotter or colder, and we have to adapt. Also, the biosphere, we interact back with the atmosphere. So when we emit all of these harmful chemicals, it sometimes creates the acid rain that we learned about, and it also contributes to climate change. So the geosphere interacts with the biosphere when that soil holds the plants in place. Also, the way that different natural disasters happen. So when a volcano erupts, all of that volcanic acid will get into the air and mix with the air particles. When the lava comes down the side of the mountain, it can reshape the earth. It can also destroy habitats for things in the biosphere. So the biosphere is, again, any living animals or substance. So we interact with the biosphere when we go to eat a plant or another animal. When things die, they release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So there's lots of ways that, again, the biosphere can interact with the other spheres. So about 75% of the Earth is covered by water. So when something living is in the water. That's how the hydrosphere and the biosphere can interact. And then think about erosion or deposition or weathering. Water can reshape the Earth's surface. And then finally, water interacts with the atmosphere because when water evaporates and ends up in the atmosphere, it'll condense to make clouds. And the frozen cryosphere might not seem like it interacts a lot, but think about how those glaciers would form different landforms that we learned about last week. So that's how the cryosphere can interact with the geosphere. And also, since the atmosphere is getting warmer due to climate change, that means that we have less and less of the cryosphere because it's melting. So that's going to rise sea levels and interact with the biosphere and the hydrosphere. So when you guys watch this video, it's going to take you into a little bit more in depth about how climate change is affecting our cryosphere. It also introduces you to a sixth sphere called an anthrosphere. And if you guys have ever heard of anthropology, it's the study of humans. So the anthrosphere is any human part of the world. So it's anything that we make or we modify. But remember, we are part of the biosphere. The anthrosphere is just anything that we make or that we modify. So when you guys get to this particular slide, it's going to help you see how all of the spheres connect. It's a pretty short lesson this week, but that's to make up for our lab because it will take you 3 days. So as always, I always like you guys to go to the Talk Like a Scientist and make sure that all of your vocabulary words are in your notes, or if you missed a couple, you can copy them over. Next, you guys are going to go on to your lab. I have another video explaining the lab for you.